Hello and welcome to Soul Food and Fuel for Your Life. I'm your host, Master Healer Kenton David Bell. Wow, we're into April already and the earth is rocking and rolling. Humanity is just in pretty much the beginning of the great shift, and I'm sure all of you out there are feeling it. So what's going on is we're on a ascension path here, the whole planet, as well as the humans who inhabit it. Every 26,000 years, our solar system arcs back to the center of our galaxy. And as this happens, we begin to awaken again to our greater God source nature. So really, for the last 13,000 years or so, we've literally have been in a place where we've pretty much forgotten our God source nature. And in a lot of ways, what that means is we have a tendency, for instance, to look outside ourselves for creation, for God, for answers. When we start to arc back towards the center of the galaxy and the frequencies of the planet change, as the frequencies and magnetics, it's also the magnetics on the planet change. Our consciousness shifts. We start to dial into a different frequency. In this case, a more refined, higher frequency that begins to allow us to understand to a greater degree our true nature. And that is that we're kind of like baby gods learning how to manifest. And here on the earth plane, which is in some ways you could call it a school. If it was called a school, we would call it probably the school of power. Here on planet Earth, it's learning about power, your own power. What is power? And so we have all the different variations that we can have on this type of planet in our dualistic, contrasting program here. And we're learning about power, learning about personal power, learning that we have the power within us to create our reality in a very powerful way that works not only for ourselves, but others as well. We're all in this together, as a matter of fact, as we begin to transition from a third dimensional into a fourth and fifth dimensional space, some even higher. We need to understand the certain protocols in physics for each stage. For instance, right now, the majority of the planet is going through a fourth dimensional experience. Well, what does that mean? A fourth dimensional experience is through the astral and astral body. It's also through the heart. The astral body, the astral realm, is the fourth layer in your arc field. It is also, in a lot of ways, right now, I think, the most interesting layer because it's the most confusing and misunderstood often. Now, the healing key for the fourth layer, the fourth dimensional space, your astral, where most healing still has to happen for humanity, by the way. We're all in this together, whether you like it or not. And the majority of the healing on the planet needs to take place in the astral. So, in the astral, the healing key is unconditional love and complete acceptance for what is. So, this is an initiation into love, is how I see it. And you must master to a certain degree this call it the stage, fourth dimensional stage that humanity is passing through. You must master this to an extent to where when you move up to the higher levels and start to manifest more quickly and powerfully, that you're not that you understand some of the principles, or else you'll start to manifest that things that are probably not really good for you. After we move from the third into the fourth, we want to be manifesting out of love, out of the desires of our heart and our soul and spirit. You know, we're very, very materialistic, and we are supposed to be materialistic here. This is a materialistic world. But when material overtakes the connection, I'll call it the connection to your greater self, your authentic self, your God source self, when that takes over, we start to become less powerful as individuals as well as a collective. And if you can see the collective right now, we're looking pretty poorly overall. We're not looking great as a collective or even individually often, most of the time. So in the fourth dimensional space, you want to learn unconditional love. And I'll tell you, a good practice is literally dropping into your heart, putting your hand like on your chest. Give yourself some like a compass heading, an aim, and tell yourself to descend from the head into the heart. And allow yourself to spend a little bit more time in your heart. And as you do, as the heart opens, as you start to feel more love here, because we're talking about the heart chakra, but we're also talking about the heart space. The heart space is a multi-dimensional aspect in every one of us. And through that heart space, you can pretty much access anything you need once you learn how to access whatever you need there. The great thing about the heart space is it will often help us discern between truth and fiction. And we must learn how to discern for ourselves in this time of great change. You know, it's said that there'll be many false prophets at this time. There'll be many, even with the non-false prophet, the prophets that are totally aligned, they themselves also have a difficult time in this period because the energies and the frequencies are so topsy-turvy. We're kind of moving from one space to the next, then back to the last one, every few minutes sometimes right now. Like I've even had the experience of it seeming like it was, I look at the clock, it's one time, and it seems like 5-10 minutes pass, and I look again, and I swear it's like a few minutes before the last time I looked. So it looked like time was going backwards almost. I don't know if anybody else is out there having any experiences like that, but it's really shows us that we're not on linear time anymore. Our brains still think that we are in linear time, and in many ways, we still are practicing a lot of the structures and mindset around linear time, such as the 24-hour schedule and clock, and the way we schedule, the way we move through our days. I'm noticing more and more, and I'm sure many of you are as well out there, that things seem to be happening very quickly, and almost everything happening all at once at certain moments. What I'm finding is it takes a deliberate, creative mindset to begin to navigate these new energies, because we've come off the linear 3D timeline pretty much now. And as we ascend, you cannot stay on that 3D timeline. Okay? Now, I want to get into some other stuff here around the fourth dimension and astral. So, most of what is in here, like if you're seeing stuff outside of yourself, especially stuff that you don't like, most likely this is a memory, wound, trauma that is somewhere in the astral body. The astral body holds most of our traumas, wounds from childhood, significant occurrences and memories where there's trauma in past lives as well. It's said that if we had understanding of the astral, that there would be no wars or conflict on the planet, because we'd understand the true nature. Now, At the same time, we see people out there using some of the attributes of the astral and twisting them for their own means and ends. Anybody who's fear-mongering, for instance, is perpetuating the chaos in the astral. All right? For instance, the dictators that are on the planet are a perfect example of this. Leadership through fear is leadership through, call it the shadows, the shadows and things that go bump in the night in the astral, which are astral thought forms, entities, things of this nature. I wonder if many of you know that entities are usually created by the individual experiencing them or by somebody close to them. Same kind of idea with poltergeist. I've had the experience of working with individuals who will have very strange, metaphysical anomalies occurring, like, electronics going on and off, TV going on and off, garage door going up and down, computers freaking out, things like this. And they'll call me and they'll say, "Hey, Kenton, I got this weird thing going on. Can you help me?" And I'd say, I don't think there's any exception I've found yet. And I'm not saying that there isn't exceptions. I'm sure there probably are somewhere. But in my experience, almost always the poltergeist is created by the individual experiencing it. In a sense, it's a part of their energy probably trying to get their attention and resolve something. That's usually my experience with stuff like that. The other thing in astral is we also have a lot of imprinting in our astral body. And the imprinting is stuff that's passed down from ancestors, and it can be, oral traditions, for instance, is one form of imprinting. That one might be one that is more desirable and helpful. Then we have imprinting of, a lot of old things passed down through ancestral lines that maybe are not so helpful right now. And something that was maybe helpful, let's say, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, probably isn't nearly as helpful anymore. We're changing and evolving so rapidly that these old stories and ideas of what is survival and truth and God and spirit, a lot of that needs a makeover, let's say. I'm not saying it's all wrong, but brought into a modern context and how it's going to help humanity at this time. I believe it was Joseph Campbell who said we need a new mythology, a new pantheon of gods and myths to support our story. Yeah, we are story. That's it. Everything is story. So how you create your story is really up to you, but also dependent on what imprinting is also in your field. You can check in right now. Just take a moment and ask your higher self to come in and surrender to your higher self. Surrender to your higher wisdom, your connection to source. I use all of these interchangeably for the most part. And ask, first of all, do I have ancestral imprinting that is hindering me from the evolution that's wanting to occur within me at this time? Do I have imprinting in me that is telling me things that are not helpful? For instance, one might be, God is outside of me. In my opinion, that is not the truth, and that is a very limited way to look at it. I believe God is within us. I believe we are gods in training, basically. That's what my guidance tells me. And that's my experience, what my experience has been for a long time now. Now, the astral is not where I tend to live a whole lot, but I visit it often. I tend to live in a fifth dimensional space, sometimes seventh. I find myself not having much traction anymore in the old 3D linear space. And you'll know this, how you're doing too, if you're losing some traction, let's say, in the 3D world, is like when you go out to public places, like I notice it in large chain grocery stores. I notice it more in like airports where it's necessary to have a lot of that linear time referencing still. And I will find that those spaces increasingly uncomfortable for me because in a lot of ways I've outgrown it. But I still have to move through some of those spaces if I want to move through the world freely. So these things are all changing, and they're changing very rapidly. But what we need to do as individuals is do what we can to help smooth it along. And that is through the astral's unconditional love for all others and complete acceptance of what is. I like to sometimes think of it as kind of a quicksand thing. You know, when you step in quicksand, if you struggle real hard, you get caught more. The astral's kind of like that too. You know that old saying, between a rock and a hard place. When we're between a rock and a hard place, that's usually some astral entanglement that hasn't been realized yet at that point. So as we move through this, make sure that you take care of yourself, especially in the astral. There's probably a lot of beliefs, a lot of imprinting in there that you don't even realize is there, and yet it's operating you like almost a computer program. I see this everywhere now. You know, and we also have a lot of past life bleed through coming through. So if you have significant lifetimes where certain things have happened, those are probably playing out even now in your world. People would be shocked to know how much past lives are playing out in their world still. Now, we are moving beyond all of this. And yeah, probably if you don't do anything, you will, like if you don't take proactive steps, you know, you'll probably still make it through this journey that we're on, but it will be a lot less comfortable. I get that it's a time for humanity, for each individual to really claim their God-given right of creativity and their ability to manifest, to have co-creative authorship with their reality and their source. I believe this is the time we're heading into. And it's time for us to really claim our true innate power as beautiful, divine human beings. Anyhow, we're going to keep this kind of short. This is just a little update. And I'm going to add a little meditation here to the end too. Okay, we're going to start a little meditation here. This is for getting in touch with your astral body and the fourth dimensional space. So go ahead and close your eyes. I hope you're sitting somewhere safe and not driving. Do not do this if you're driving. Close your eyes. As you close your eyes, notice that your point of attention is right behind the eyeballs. Take this point of attention and intend it to drop into your heart space. And as you drop into your heart space, allow it to be created however it wants to be. Some people will see themselves like in a field out in nature, or maybe on a beach, a beautiful tropical beach under a palm tree. Or perhaps you're in a sacred temple or a sacred spot on the land. Or maybe you're floating out in the cosmos themselves, floating, sitting in the lotus position, watching the nebulas float by. There's no right or wrong. Just allow yourself to create this space however it wants to be created today for you. Knowing that you are love, knowing that that is the only truth, is that you are love. Anything else you experience is not real, even though it appears to be. So we bring the unconditional love into the heart space. we activate the unconditional love within ourselves, within the heart space, within our beingness, by intending it. And we look at anybody who's out before us that maybe we feel has trespassed against us, or we've trespassed against them. And we send forgiveness. Oh, please forgive me for my trespass. Oh, yes, I forgive you for yours. And send them love. Send them love, love, love. Even if they are your mortal enemy, you want to send them love. Send them love. Send them love. And now, as you're sitting there, feel into your own heart. What is it that wants to happen for you here, right now? What is it that you are burdened with? What perspective or wound or trauma are you hanging on to that's keeping you from being more of who you truly are? Allow it to come up, whatever it might be. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's a group of people. Maybe it's something that happened in the past, something you're afraid of that's going to happen in the future, whatever it might be. And just bring all those elements in front of you in the heart space. The people, the places, the situation, whatever you might be upset about or burdened by or grieving with, whatever it might be. And just see it for what it really is. And that's an experience to help you find who you truly are and grow into who you're truly becoming. Let yourself have the freedom that you do deserve through the practice of unconditional love and complete acceptance of what is. When we practice unconditional love and complete acceptance of what is, it sets us free. We literally begin to experience a level of freedom that we've never experienced before. Feel the freedom in the heart. Feel the freedom in your soul. Feel the freedom in your choice as you choose to love and let go. And for those of you who are wanting it, I'm going to do a round of Ho'oponopono, ancient Hawaiian healing technique. So what you do is you put your hand on your heart while you're in your heart space. And whatever person, people, situation, or whatever it is that you feel this non-love with, that's not in the column of unconditional love and complete acceptance, we start to send love to. Send love to our self, to those who we project on to. And it goes like this. I love you. I love me. 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 I forgive you. I forgive me. I forgive you. I forgive me. I forgive you. I forgive me. I allow you. I allow me. I allow you. I allow me. I allow you. I allow me. I release you. I release me. I release you. I release me. I release you, and I release me. And so it is. Amen. And do that as many times as you need, whenever you need, to help Free the burden. Take away the weight on your heart. Free yourself in a deep way. I am Kenton David Bell. Thank you for listening to my podcast again today. And if you're interested in any work with me, you can find me at www.kentondavidbell.com or email me kentondavidbell@gmail.com. If you feel like calling me, call me 928-274-2026. Looking forward. Let's have a great day, a great week, a great year. Lots of love, everybody.